The power of friends, the advantages of curating and building your network, and the benefits of tending to your talents or passions outside of work. Just a few of the things I'm thinking about on this Monday morning. Let's talk about it. Welcome to It's Monday. What's Jonathan thinking? Hello, and welcome back to It's Monday. What's Jonathan thinking? And my regrets to those who've been looking forward to my weekly episodes. There's been a lot going on lately. Good things, though. In the last month, I flew to London to meet a client for the first time. And this gave me a chance to reconnect with a colleague from my days at Exogen. Somehow we let almost 20 years go by. And although we've seen each other on Zoom and have emailed each other, almost 20 years passed since we had seen each other the last time. After London, I headed home, and soon after that, headed to Houston to attend the twice annual Energy Industry Conference, EMC, or Energy Marketing Conference. And the week after that, I took part in a war room exercise at a client's office where we are in the final stages of finishing a major strategic project. Through all these events, I find myself reflecting on the amazing opportunity we all have in our professional worlds to build lasting friendships. Some last through just the projects we're on. Some span years, and some, if we're lucky, can last a lifetime. In London, as I mentioned, I reconnected with a friend who met me when I was just starting my career. I was just a guy with a bunch of dreams who hadn't really achieved much of anything yet. Just a man with a vision of a life he could create for himself. Somehow, 20 years passed, but we picked up where we left off, and the connection between us was just the same. In Houston, I was able to connect with industry colleagues at Energy Marketing Conference, or EMC for short. In Houston, the room, it's filled with people who met me 15, 20 years hence from that young kid in London. Some have known me as their project manager. Some have known me as their PMO director. Others know me through my years here at Cyber Group. And somehow, through it all, we've formed, for lack of a better term, a chavara, a fellowship. And though some of us are competitors and some of us are peers, somehow twice a year we put it all aside, find a way to come together as members of this fellowship we call the energy industry, which is my constant reminder to treat my network like I would my garden or that proverbial giving tree that Shel Silverstein wrote about in 1964. A network is something that requires care and feeding. This EMC was a little different because I had my guitar with me. Not something I would normally bring to an industry conference, but I had a gig at the end of the week, and so I had my guitar. And then one of my friends, Gary Puddles, turns out he's a percussionist. Nothing an upside down trash can can't fix. So there we were with my guitar and his drum and an iPad filled with lyrics and chords for our favorite songs. And it is here that I learned that putting yourself out there, daring to be a little vulnerable and willing to share something of yourself that you are passionate about can create communities, even in a hotel lobby, with friends and a couple of random strangers. Which brings me finally to that war room in my client's office last week. If you're not familiar, a war room exercise is typically executed when a project is facing blocking issues that aren't going to be resolved over conference calls and screen sharing. So you bring everyone together in a room with the goal of dividing into battle stations to focus on working through those issues that are preventing a project from achieving an objective. Every battle has a purpose. Every team member has a role to play. And the goal, of course, is to win that war, whatever it is. And here's the takeaway, at least for me. It's in that war room that you find that wars are won when everyone builds on each other's strengths. Acknowledges weakness, because I think you have to, but chooses to focus on strengths. And you optimize the battalion for what they can do, not what they can't get done. Which brings you all caught up with my life from the last few weeks and brings me to my point for this Monday morning, which is networks are important. Cultivating friendships, building professional alliances, finding mentors and being a mentor. These are much more important than you might give it credit. Our professional careers rise and fall on the existence of these kinds of people in our lives. Your network has in it the people that are going to get you where you want to go. It has in it the people who can vouch for you and know what you're capable of. Buried in your network are the people who will get you through the troughs in your career, lift you up during hard times, carry you forward during good times. They are the people that know the real you. Hey, I get it. Maybe you're saying to yourself, I don't have time. I'm working so hard. I get off work. I'm tired. I don't have the time. Or, I'm just not that social. Networking is not my thing. Or to find some reason to justify the fact that you just don't want to work on your network right now. I get it. But let me throw out a challenge. You say you don't have the time, but did you have the time to stop at Starbucks this morning? Did you have a time to go out to a meal over the weekend or last week? Did you have time to watch a TV show? What would have happened if you had established a boundary for work where you said to your colleagues, I need to go attend this thing. It's important. You might not think you have time to focus on your network, but I think when you do the analysis, you'll simply find that you are not making the time for your network. So maybe the commitment you need this week is the one that says, I'm going to stop making excuses. Sometimes I'll get mentees who say, I'm super shy. I don't enjoy being social. I'm not going to do that thing, that networking event or professional gathering. Okay. Well, let me ask you, whoever told you that there's only one way to build a professional network? Who told you that you have to be in some giant room to build a network of friends and colleagues around you? Here's a newsflash. I'm likely more comfortable in front of this camera than I am in that giant room at an industry event. I can stop this. I can cut and do it again. I can make it perfect. There's no do-overs in a conversation. I'm an awkward person. I might say the wrong thing, or even more scary, I might do the wrong thing. But I love singing. I love playing my guitar. I love talking about music. I'm near as obsessed with the bios of my favorite singer-songwriters as some people are with next season's lineup for their favorite professional sports team. Which brings to bear maybe another message, which is it's okay to build your professional world around your personality, around who you are. Networking is not always done in a giant room filled with strangers. Sometimes it happens in the airport, at the coffee shop, at a table in that giant room, one-on-ones over meals, sitting around in a circle, singing songs. There's no secret sauce. For every gregarious leader like Jack Welch, there's the unassuming leader, more like Darwin Smith, who was the CEO of Kimberly-Clark. Jack might have been the life of the party, but no one liked working for him. Darwin Smith, he's lauded as one of the most charismatic leaders in the last century. People would clamor to work for a guy like him. Both Mr. Welch and Mr. Smith were CEOs. They carried the title. They each had that heralded place in the organization, but they each approached the role in their careers, for that matter, very differently. Build your professional world around who you are. Build it in your image, not in the image you think you should project. So this is my soapbox for the week. It's definitely been on my mind as I've navigated through the events of the last few days. My network, I'd be nowhere without it. So my challenge for you this week is to challenge yourself. What's holding you back from focusing on you? From growing that network, from tilling that fertile soil and planting some seeds? This week, stop making excuses not to do something. Start making choices for what you're going to put on hold so you can. Thanks for tuning in this morning. Have an awesome week. And I'll see you next week on It's Monday. What's Jonathan thinking?